Okay, welcome to the second video on the course for Mac. Last time I was trying virtualization. It took some time to enter the Windows Labs. Now I'm inside the Windows Lab. So as you can see, even though I'm on a Mac, what you see here inside my browser, this is my browser, it's Windows itself. It's a Windows of the university. You can see it's Windows in all effects. Okay. The only problem is that if you enter Windows with this tool, you do not have access to your local files. So you cannot access your Mac files. As you can see, if I go here, File Explorer, when you go on this PC is the PC of the university, not yours. Even if you go on local disk C, it's the local disk of the PC of the university. So you can only use the files which are here on the university network disk, the disk that we have talked about in the first video. So, okay, you can still put the files there to your Mac and then use the files from there, fine. However, if you install the client, it's much better because it gives you the possibility to access your local disk. Now I will shut down Windows, shut down, okay, you have disconnected. I also log off on the VMware client, okay, and shut down my browser. Okay, can you see? Here you have the possibility to install your client. I strongly suggest you, if you plan to use it regularly, okay, or at least if you plan to use it for the exam. Okay, I have already installed my client. Now let me shut down Chrome completely. Okay, the client it's here, it's this icon here. When you would click on it, you see the very same interface that you see while browsing, but it's much faster. Okay? Again, you have access to all the things that you have access to your browser, but usually much faster. We'll now try to open Access, for example. Opening Access means basically open a Windows which has only Access and gives you the possibility to use only Access. It takes a while. So using the client will give me the possibility, and you will see now how, to access the local disks. Come on. Okay, in the meantime, in order to access the local disk, you need to do a little modification to your Mac configuration. The modification, since probably it will change in the future depending on what is installed, it's written on my website. So you go here, oops, you go down here, I have a Mac, can you see? Use VMware via client, okay? From preferences sharing, you can enable access to your local disk. So if you want to access your local disk, you should go to System Preferences of the Mac. Okay, sharing. Come on. Okay. Ooh, sometimes it can really be boring. Okay, and enable file sharing. May I use the system preferences without this horrible interface bar? Okay, well, anyway, this is access. Okay, you can see. Suppose I want to save a file. Save as. Save database as. Okay. If I open this PC, it's still the university computer, so it's not your computer. However, here you see also I have also Paolo. Paolo, since the user of this computer is Paolo, it's this local computer. So when I go to the desktop of Paolo, it's the desktop of the Mac. So let's just, as an example, I will save database 11, save, and you will see that it has appeared on my Mac desktop. If I can reach it, because let's reach the Mac desktop. No, I can't reach the Mac. Finder. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. When I will be able to reach the Mac desktop, I will also be able to show it to you. Okay, now I shut down Access because I'm really bored. Okay. Oh, finally. This is the Mac desktop. Okay, shut down also this thing here. Quit. Hola, the Mac desktop has been reached. You can see the database is here. Database 11.accdb. Okay. Before I was showing you the system preferences. Okay, the sharing, you should enable file sharing. If you don't enable it, it won't be able to access your local files anyway. Okay. Hola. And this is everything for the virtualization. Okay. Let's go on. Okay, folders. We start talking about folders. It's an easy example. Everything I will start explaining from now, I hope that you already know it. So just go quickly through the video. If you don't know it, review it. But it's something you should have very, very clear, at least from high school or for your previous life experience. Okay, how to create a new desktop, a new folder. A folder is a sort of container, like this one, for example. It's a container. It can contain other files, other folders or other files. How to create a new one? Right-click, new folder. Very simple. Okay, so let's create a new one. I will call it course computer. Okay. Okay, let's rename it. So right click, rename course X1. Okay, inside it, as an exercise as suggested by the slides, I create two new folder. First folder and second folder. Please do this kind of exercise if you have any doubts on how doing them. Okay? Usually many people don't, but you never know. Okay, and now let's learn how to copy files. I have still here my directory. Okay. First of all, go to the network directory Course Coletti. So go, connect to server, courses, connect. Come on, yoo-hoo. Oh, here it is, Course Coletti. Okay, during the course I put in intro labs the files that you need. Well, if you don't find them, just take 3 other files, doesn't really matter. So let's see how can you copy a file. Okay, to copy a file, you have 3 methods, both in Windows and both in Mac. First method, it's right click, copy. In the Mac, it suggests copy X1 first. Okay, I go here, I open the directory, because not always if you paste it onto the directory it will work. So I go here, paste item. So first method, very easy. Second method, I select the file, Command C, so what on Windows is Control C, here is Command C. The command is the Apple key. Here, Command V. So very simple. Third method, take the file and drag it. When you take it and you drag it, make sure that the plus appears. Okay? Sometimes the plus doesn't appear. Let me show you a situation in which it doesn't appear, if I can. Sometimes the plus doesn't appear. In this case, if it doesn't appear, press Alt. On Windows you have to press Ctrl, here you have to press Alt. However, if the plus appears, fine. And you are copying it. Okay, very easy. Okay, now you can, as an exercise, copy the files to second folder, copy them to first folder. Please do this kind of exercises if you have any doubt on how to do them. Okay. Let's see how to delete files instead. Okay, 3 alternatives as usual. Okay. First alternative, right click, move to trash. Second alternative, you manually move the file to the trash. Third alternative, on Windows you just press Del, which on a German keyboard is Entf, on Italian keyboard is Canch. Here you have to press Command Del, Command Entf, Command Canch, depending on your keyboard. Or if you don't have the Del key because you are using a notebook, Command Backspace. So Command Backspace. Trash. Okay. Goes into the trash. Okay. Things into the trash can be recovered easily. Okay. Or you can empty the trash completely. Empty trash. Okay. Now I will copy the 3 files again here because I don't have files anymore to do some exercises. Okay, a little trick: if you want to delete a file forever, immediately, without using the trash bin, sometimes you want because, for example, you are selecting 2000 files and you don't want to move them to the trash bin and then delete, or you are really in troubles with disk space and you must delete without using the trash bin. So you just select it on the Mac, Command Alt Del. So Command Alt and backspace because I don't have the Del. Okay. I usually want to delete this permanent. Okay, done. Okay, let's see how to move a file. First of all, I will copy it back. Okay. So I will now take these files and move them to second folder. Unfortunately, moving a file on the Mac is not something easy. Seems strange. Okay. So the cut and paste alternative, which exists for Windows, on the Mac, it's not viable. Okay, because Mac users, according to Apple, must be handled with care, and they cannot cut and paste. So you cannot cut and paste. On the Mac, if you want to cut and paste, you have to do something strange, which probably you will never do, which is copy, go here, and here, if you choose paste, you will copy it. So you right click and then you press Alt, and when you press Alt, the paste item, can you see, becomes move item here. Okay, let's go back. Okay. Second alternative, which exists for the Mac and for Windows, drag and drop. So you take it and you put it here. In this case, make sure that you do not zip plus. Okay. If you do zip plus, press Shift and the plus will go away. Sorry, press Command because on the Mac it's different. If you do zip plus, for example as here, you press Command and the plus should go away, but not now today on my Mac. I don't know, yesterday, whenever I saw the plus, pressing Command, the plus went away. Today, no. Okay. Okay, usually if you see the plus and you press Command, the plus goes away. Okay. Last alternative is Command C, Command V. Okay, which exists only for Windows. On the Mac, if you try to do it, it doesn't work. See? So on the Mac, no. Okay, no. On the Mac you cannot do Command C, Command V. So sorry, only 2 alternatives. Usually the best one for moving a file is simply dragging it. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about are links. Okay, what is a link? A link, it's an address. A link, it's an address to a real file. It's not, however, a real file. You can identify the link with the presence of this arrow. This is for Windows and this is for Mac. Unfortunately, on the Mac the arrow is not so evident as for Windows. Okay, it also displays shortcut on Windows and alias on the Mac, but don't trust it because you can rename it and remove this alias, and so it will have just a regular file name. Okay, just to give you an idea, may I? Okay. Have here, this is a link, okay? I can just rename, remove the word alias, and now many people will probably believe this were a regular file because the arrow here is black and you don't see it very clearly. Okay. This can be very dangerous if you don't know how to use it. The rule is that if you double click on a link, it's as if you double clicked on the original file. So if it is a program, it will run. If it is not a program, it will open. Okay. However, if you do any other operation on a link, you're not doing the same operation on the original file. So if you copy a link, you're only copying the link. If you move a link, you're only moving the link. If you delete the link, you're only deleting the link. In particular, if somebody moves the original file, your link is totally useless. Okay. So how to create a link? I teach you how to create a link only to suggest you not to create them unless you can handle them. Okay. So let's see how to create them. You take a file and you drag here pressing Command Alt. Today probably it won't work. Ah yes, it works. You drag somewhere else pressing Command Alt and the arrow appears. Now if I release everything, the link will be created. Okay, so you can see this is a link. An alternative could be right click, make alias, and you create the link to that file. Now let me delete this thing and this thing. Okay. However, beware. Okay. Oops. Beware. When you copy the link, you're not copying the real file. In particular, at the end of the exam, if instead of the real file you give me the link, you're not giving me the file. I know that the file exists, but it's on your directory, on your your own directory. I cannot enter it, so I won't correct it. So please avoid this big problem. Folders. Well, working with folders is exactly the same thing as working with files. You can move them, copy them, delete them, and even create a link to them. Remember that whatever you do, the same fate happens to all the files contained inside. So if you copy a folder, you're copying also everything inside. If you move a folder, you're moving everything inside. If you delete a folder, you're deleting everything inside. So pretty easy. Do the exercise in case you have doubts. So sometimes it's handy to select an entire group of things. Okay. Again, you have several ways to do it. Suppose, for example, I want to select this tree. Okay. I can take the mouse and select. Very easy. Okay. However, sometimes, suppose, for example, I want to select this one and this one, but not the one in the middle. Okay, I can rearrange them. But suppose you have 200, you cannot rearrange them. So in this case, I can select the first one. Okay. And then on Windows pressing Ctrl, on the Mac pressing Command, and select the second one. Okay. So keeping Command pressed gives you the possibility to select multiple items which are far away. Okay. Last alternative, whenever you have the files in a list, for example as here, suppose the list is long, now the list is short, you select the first one, you go to the last one, you press Shift, and you click on it, and the entire list is selected. So if you have a list of 1,000 items, it's pretty handy, instead of using the mouse to grab all of them, which requires you scrolling, etc., etc. Okay. And now, compressing. Now we'll see how to compress files with a Mac. Unfortunately, 7-zip, which is a very useful compression tool for Windows, and ZArch, which is pretty similar, even though not as good as 7-zip, don't exist for Mac. There is Keka. Keka uses the same background engine as 7-zip, so it's as powerful as 7-zip, but the interface is not so user-friendly. However, let's do it. You can compress also using the Mac interface itself. However, if you do it, you will not be able to compress with password. So, if you just want for your personal use, you can, but if I ask to compress with password at exam, let's see how to do it. So, on the Mac, it's pretty different with respect to Windows. Okay, so you can let's compress a single file now. You right click, compress. This gives you the possibility to, and you can see this is the file compressed. To compress with a Mac interface. Let me trash it. But now we compress it with Keka. So I open Keka. Where's my launchpad? I open Keka. Oops. Keka. Okay. I choose zip. Always choose zip. The other one are less popular, and if you give it them around, you file around with the other format, you may find people which complain that they are not able to open them, etc. So always choose zip. Okay. Don't select the things here, please. Choose normal, unless you want the compression to be slow and thus the file will be thinner, or the compression to be fast and thus the file be larger. When you compress a file, you can gain up to 90% of the space, so you compress a lot if the file is a text file. If the file contains images or videos, well, for that thing they are already compressed, so you can't do anything usually, so it doesn't improve. Okay, now we'll compress this one, which is so short that we will not gain anything, or probably we'll lose something. So to compress it with Keka, just drag it here. Hop, done. Okay. When you want to uncompress it, uncompress it. Or on Windows, you can right click and choose uncompress, or you can even look inside. So on Windows, it's typical to look inside the file. On the Mac, you cannot. To uncompress it, you just double click on it and Keka will uncompress it for you if you have Keka installed. Okay, now you can see it has created this xthird chew because an xthird already exists. Okay. Again, here there is a different behavior. On Windows, it would have probably overwritten the other file. You can see that the compressed file has extension zip. So the extension is not txt anymore, it's zip. Okay. Compressing an entire directory. So I put now first folder inside the second folder. And I put also xthird inside second folder. Now second folder contains things inside, can you see? Okay. Now I want to compress it. I just drag it on Keka and suck. And I compress the entire directory structure. So I not only do I compress the folder itself, but the entire directory structure is inside. So now I trash the folder. So now I show you that I can reconstruct. See, you can reconstruct the entire directory structure. So when you compress a directory, you preserve also the entire directory structure. And this is one of the main reasons why compression tools are useful. Imagine you have a complicated, or just even not complicated, but with 3-4 subdirectories structure, and you want to send it to another person. Well, if you send it file by file, well, the other person will complain that he has to reconstruct manually the directory structure. If you instead take the main directory, compress everything, and have a package like this one, when the other person uncompresses it, it can reconstruct the entire package as if it was originally on your file, on your system. So it's very useful when you want to send around directories, entire directories. Another reason why it's useful, as I told you, try to compress a Word file, and you will see that it shrinks a lot. Okay, even a pure text file, a long pure text file, shrinks a lot. So for some type of files, compressing usually let you gain a lot of space. Now I trash it. How to compress with password? Compressing with password is a real encryption method. It's the second encryption method we've studied, so the one that you use only for yourself. So use a single password, which is at the same time your private key and the public key, because only yourself are going to use it. So on Keka it's pretty easy. You just type the password before, retype to be sure. Okay, you drag everything here, and now it's uncompressed and encrypted. Now I remove the password. Okay. I try to uncompress it. Okay, first of all, let me delete the original file. Okay, I try to uncompress it. It asks me for the password. I provide a wrong password. Error code 2, fatal error. Famous. Okay, fatal error. Okay. There is this directory. You can see there's the directory, the 3 files, but the files are empty. Okay, so it still knows which files are inside, it still knows the name of the files inside, but the files are empty. So it still reconstructs the directory structure, but with empty files inside. Okay, let's try to provide the right password. Oh, Keka is jumping. Ah, okay. Okay, now the right password. That's it. The files inside, and the files are not empty, as you can see. So when you compress with password, if you use zip, the file name are public, but it's the content which is encrypted. Okay. I think if for any reason you are able to look inside the zip folder, okay, in Windows it's very typical. In Windows, if you click on the zip folder, a sort of window opens up and shows you the content. On the Mac, no, when you click on zip folder, it unzips. Okay, but if for any reason you are able to look inside, looking inside it's fine to get to know what is inside. Looking inside it's fine if you want to open any of the files contained, just to take a look at it. But if you open a zip archive just to look inside it, and you start modifying the files inside, even if you save, you are not sure that they will be saved inside the zip archive. So beware, this is a typical mistake that exists several times. People managing on the Mac, it's very difficult to do it, but on Windows it's pretty typical to look inside this file, start opening the file, modifying them, save, but the files are not saved. So when you plan to modify a file inside an archive, extract everything, modify and recompress everything. It's much safer. The Mac Keka forces you to do like this, but if you find a way around to skip this, please do it anyway. Okay, let's see where are my slides. Okay, can you see here? The folder that you see is only a list of the archive contents, not a real directory. Do not edit files directly from here. Okay, extracting folder, encrypt archives. File permission. Before talking about file permission, there is a thing I have forgotten before, and it's the open with. Let me see. Okay. We have said that whenever you double click on a file, if it is a program, it runs directly. If it is not a program, it's a data file, like in this case. Okay, it can be opened with another file. For example, if I double click on this one, TextEdit, which is the notepad for Mac, will come, and this TextEdit, can you see it's TextEdit? On the Mac, it's simple to understand what application are you in because it's written here. It's TextEdit, and it kindly displays the content for me. I can also modify it. Okay. Suppose, however, that I want to open, let's close TextEdit. I want to open it with another program. Okay? So I can right click and choose open with. For example, I can open it with Word. It takes a while because Word is a huge program. So now Word arrives, and after 3 hours, okay, here, it is Word, can you see? Word. It opens the same program, the same file. So the same file can be opened by several different applications. Suppose that I want to open with something which is not here. You can choose Other. Okay. This gives you the possibility to choose the application. Well, in this case, most of them won't be a good idea. Okay. So usually Word, maybe Excel can open it, maybe Outlook can open it. Okay, Keka itself doesn't really open it, compresses it. Remember, if you flag this always open with, you will open it always with that thing whenever you double click. So usually it's not a good idea unless you want to change this behavior forever. So now you can sell instead. Okay, file permissions. Even though you're using the Mac, you're required to notify permissions for Windows because unfortunately for you, Windows is, without any discussion, the market leader operating system. Okay, first of all, usually there are in a complex system which needs file permission, there are users. Also on the Mac you have the user, okay? And there are also group of users. So users are grouped. Okay? There's a special group called administrators. This list of people are the ones which have power over everything. I think that here in Bolzano we call them sysadmin. In the meantime, while I talk, I open the Windows just to show you. Okay. Yes, but I want to do, okay. Okay. On the Mac, the permissions, you go on a file, you right click, get info, and you look at sharing and permissions. Let's see. So you go on a file, this one for example, right click, get info. Then down, sharing permission. The permission, here there is a permission for me and for everyone else. Everyone else has no access, and I think this is pretty easy to understand. No access. Me, I have a read and write. The Mac permissions are very simplified compared to the Windows permission, because you basically have, as you can see, only two options. Here you have three options. One is read only. If you have read only permission, you can only read it. It means look at it. Pay attention that because with read only permission, you can only look at it, but you can also copy it. So if you want to modify it, you can copy it somewhere else. That copy is yours and you can modify it. So with read permission, you have the permission to look at it, but also to copy it and make modifications to the copy. Read and write, you have the permission to look at it, modify it, and even delete it. Write only, well, very strange to have a write only permission. On a file, it really doesn't make sense. You can delete it, but you cannot look at it. Okay. It makes more sense on a directory, which means that you can put things inside. Okay. On the Mac, these three permissions are exclusive. It means that if you have one of them, you don't have the other. Okay. And this is the system for the Mac. It's very simple. For Windows, it's a little more complicated because it may seem strange to you, but it's a more modern system. The Mac uses the Linux Unix permission system, which is very old. So it has only three type of permission exclusive. So if you have one, you cannot have the other. On Windows, it's different because it's a more modern system. It has a more versatile permission system. Let's see it. Okay, this is Windows. Right click, properties, security, and you see here the people. The system admin is the group of administrators. Administrator is a single person which doesn't exist. It's just a password. In case there's need for the top administrator, the technicians know the password. Help desk are the people who can help me if I have problems. And quality power, it's me, clearly. Okay. Let's see which permissions are there here. You can see these are not exclusive. You can have one and several other. So you're not limited to one of them only. There's a list and you flag them. Read is the same as read for Mac. I have the permission to look at a file and make a copy if I want. Read and execute makes sense only if the file is a program. If the file is a program, I have the permission to look at it and to execute it. In this case, it's not a program, so it's equivalent to read. Modify is what for Mac is read and write. So I have the permission to, well, in theory it's only write, but as I told you before, often if you have modify, you usually have also read. So I have the permission to modify the file and even to delete it. Write on Windows is different, pay attention. What for Mac is write, in Windows is modify. Write for Windows makes sense only if the file is a directory. And it means that you can put files inside. So Windows distinguishes between directories and files. On directories, there is the write permission to put files inside. On file, there is the modify permission to change the file. Full control. Full control in Windows means that you can assign permissions to other people. So I do have full control here, so I can edit, add another person. For example, let's see, my teaching assistant, Butti, check names, Butti Alessio. Okay? And decide that Buti Alessio has only read permission, for example. Apply. And you see here his name appearing with only read permission. Okay. Don't worry, however, he will never be able to read this file because this file is on my desktop and he does not have read permission on my desktop, so he will never be able to know that there is a file on my desktop which is readable by him. So if you want somebody to let access your files, you have to give permission also on your desktop, on your account. So this usually makes sense on the network disk. In fact, on our network disks, let's see, go back. Okay. On the network disk, on Coolscoletti, I have write and read permissions. You have only read permission. On Scratch Echo, instead, we all have write and read permission. So you can put the files, you can delete. And not only, but everybody has also read and modify permissions on the files that other people put. So everybody can do whatever. Okay. Finish. I think the pre-course is over. I can shut down Windows here. Shut down. Okay, stop the record.